Thank you so much for being with us on the show today, Therese. How are you?
I am doing fabulous. I'm fabulous.
That's amazing. I'm so glad that you're here, by the way, because so let me put it like this. Clubhouse is beautiful. I love the family, I love the community. And then it's like thinking about that in the same capacity or probably in a completely different dimension with podcasting. So having you here, and people listening to you, they'll be so happy that you came because you have so much to give, and I appreciate what you've been doing for the community.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for seeing me, as I always say. Thank you for seeing me, and thank you for seeing my light, because I do want to impact the community. That is definitely my soul's mission.
That's so true. That's so true. I'd love for people to know more about you. Just give us an introduction of who you are, what you do, and how did sensual feminine energy behavior, how did this all start for you?
So I'm part of my life work. I've been a caregiver. I was a wife. I'm a recent widow, and I was a wife for, and I basically was the one in the family that took care of everybody. So doctor's appointments from great grandmother moving forward from when I was really young, I became the matriarch of my family at 19. And so I have been living that life. My husband suddenly passed away all in one day, and my life completely changed. So I went through this like Phoenix rising experience where I just let go of everything and rebuilt and reinvented myself. But I've always done work with women. I've always done work in business. So I've been in business for over 40 years. Since a little girl, I've been an entrepreneur. I was a seamstress as a kid. I used to make all my clothes and do all the things. And I was an artist as a kid. And so I went to school for art. And, unfortunately, my dad broke my spirit around art. And as a result of that, I did not pursue the work that I wanted to pursue. I wanted to do other things like fashion and creative and all that. But guess what? Full circle, it brings you back to the work that you are always supposed to do anyway. Detours always bring you back. And so the work and passion is being a coach, a mentor. Everywhere I look, that's what I'm to be, even though I ran for it. I ran like a bat out of hell and nobody chasing me. And we often do that. But purpose brings you back. So I work with women. And what I realized as I was working with women in the space of herbalism, because I'm a master herbalist, I work in the space of ancestral spiritual herbalism. So I tie in universal laws, I tie in spirituality, our connection to nature, in the work I do as an herbalist. And I found that I got women to a point, but then they wouldn't go any further with it. I got them to a point in their business, we got to marketing, and we wouldn't go any further. And so I had to lean in and say, well, wait a minute. Why is it like there's a pattern here? We get women to a point, but then they don't do any more, right? And then they start backpedaling. And so I realized that they didn't really understand who they were. And so as I opened up Pandora's box, I said, wow, and why don't they know who they are? Because they're disconnected from their innate self, their femininity. They were too masculine in their approach to life. And so they were not their authentic self. And when we do marketing and sales, we have to show up as our authentic self. Otherwise, we're going to feel that imposter syndrome and all the other, monkey mind games that we play with ourselves, right? I talk about 10 marbles, and all it does is those 10 marbles keep moving around in our head, called overthinking. And so as a result of that and leaning in, I decided to one day say, you know what, a client of mine came and spent a weekend with me for a VIP day or a VIP weekend. And she's like, Miss T, oh my gosh, like you really are who you say you are. Like you really do live this life, like you for real. And I'm like, yeah, I am for real. And that experience for me and for her, it changed her life, but it also let me know that I needed to lean in. And she started telling me how I had changed her life with the things I was saying on Clubhouse. I created a course. I taught the course to some of my most challenging clients. The ones that come in your room and they want to challenge you, and the ones that come and they want to, argue with you. Well, to date, she's my biggest fan. As a matter of fact, just this morning, she sent me a message and said, Miss T, all I want to tell you today is that I adore you. So that was the journey of sensual feminine confidence. She took the class. It changed her life. She attracted the man of her dreams. She, excelled in her career, and she came home to herself. And I think that's the thing that allows people to begin to soar when they come back home to themselves. And when I say that, I mean to their feminine energy. Women are receivers, right? Anything that a man gives us, we're going to expand in and we're going to grow it. So when we understand that, our real power, we come home and connect with our womb and connect with our bodies and connect with who we really are, then we can excel and we can attract the man of our dreams. I've done it for myself. I was a widow and now I have a partner, right? And so how did I do that? I do that because I'm a woman all day, every day. That's all I know how to really do. But when we go into this masculine energy, it's the pushing away of everything rather than pulling and bringing it closer to us, right? We don't have to go out and hunt. Men are hunters, right? But when you come home to yourself and you raise your vibration and you sit in your femininity, you just you just pull them in. They come. Right? Energetically. And that's for everything in your life, right? We're receivers. We are the nurturers. We are the feelers. But guess what? Sensuality is not about sexuality. It's so much about your 6 senses. And one of them is feeling. And women have become so disconnected to feeling and hearing and tasting that, food is such a sensual experience for me. Like, I love the flavor of food and spices and all the things because I'm a world traveler. So you get to eat all these flavorful foods and it's like it ignites your palate and you're just like, yes. And women are so disconnected from that. When you ask them, so how do you want to feel inside your life? I can very rarely get an answer. And so I live this life. And when my client came and she said, Miss T, people don't live like you. She was like, you just do the way you want to. I was like, I thought that's how you're supposed to do it. Right? Aren't you supposed to live the way you want to and happy? For things, you hungry, you're gonna go eat, right? And eat the food you want. And so I realized that that's not so. And so I had to create something. I had to dig in. I had to sit with it. I had to meditate. I had to ask my ancestors in spirit, what do you want me to do with this? And so I've been receiving cookie crumbs. The first thing is I heard somebody hear me speak and they told me I need to move to the DMV. And sometimes we battle with spirit and my ancestors, but I did what I was told to do. I packed my bags and in 90 days I moved to the DMV based on someone coming to give me a message. Because I'm so deeply rooted in my spirituality that when spirit shows me that this is what I'm to do, I don't want to be dragged. So I do it. Even when I don't know. I have been in the wilderness with this move. It was like cookie crumbs. Have you ever tried to get a cookie crumb and put it together and make a whole cookie? But you only get 3 or 4 cookie crumbs at a time? And so now I really am in that space of I understand why I'm here. This is a spiritual move, right? I attracted a partner here, which I was told that would happen if I moved. And, I study cardiology, I study astrology, and I study human design. And those are the 3 things that helped me know that this was all in alignment. We're just really living out our destiny. It's already been predetermined for us. And so when we tap in and we have a deep spiritual connection, amazing things get to happen for us. And so amazing things have happened for me. Maybe some of them haven't been the things that I really want to experience, but in hindsight, it was what was necessary for the journey. Sometimes if we're given everything that we desire, we may lack the maturity, or we may lack the wisdom, the knowledge and understanding to give birth to the things that we really want to or are to create in the world. And so I came here and I started just listening and being still and quiet. I'm just coming off of spiritual solitude for a year. 2022 was all about spiritual solitude. And I'm very quiet most times. But The work I'm to do is to help women rest and flourish. Those are the things that I'm to do in this life. Sensual feminine confidence is for them to rest inside of their life and to become emotionally mature. And then once they do that, then they can move on, if they choose, to entrepreneurship, right? Which is a different spin on it. The sensual feminine entrepreneurship. We're not out here hustling. We're not out here grinding. I think we should remove those words from our vocabulary, because language are like spells and we bring those things to ourselves. So what I really believe is that ease, grace, and flow. Because when we really are truly in alignment with our spiritual work, which, transcends to our mundane work, I think it all comes together in ease, grace, and flow. We don't have to work so hard. So that's just a little bit about me. Look, the Cliff Notes version.
The Cliff Notes version.
That's a Cliff Notes version.
Yo. Okay. As soon as you spoke, the next thing I wanted to say was make sure you rewind this episode before you continue this episode, because what you just said needs to be heard twice, 3 times, 4 times. Let it sink in, because I was like, as you're speaking, I was just thinking in so many directions, and I'm sure the listeners would do the same thing too, because they look at their lives and they're like, she's doing what she wants to do because she can, and she's made that available because she possessed that in her mind. And from the mind perspective, a lot of us get challenged from there before it even manifests, because mentally we've already broken down those walls, so we can't even use our physical energy to accentuate that or complement that. So it's quite different for someone who has not really been brought up in that setting to manifest that, because that's not how they grew up. So how would you tell someone that is in that position?
Ooh, boy, that's a good one. Okay, so what I've learned is we come from so many different backgrounds, and I come from a lot of people in health crisis. So the thing that I will say is, one is to get still and quiet. That's the first thing, to get still and quiet. We have to stop taking in so much information. We have to, begin to be still and quiet. So that's the first piece, and that's going to be a hard piece for some people. And then after we do that, I want you to kind of look at your life and see what are some of the common threads that have been through your entire life. The common thread for me is fashion or style, unconventional, very eclectic, loving color, loving food, travel, and entrepreneurship, since I've been an entrepreneur since I was 10 years old, right? And I looked at these common threads and I started to journal about them. I was drawn to human design. I say human design saved my life, because human design helped me understand who I was and the uniqueness of who I was. So the human design piece, I think we should begin to use the tools, because the tools help us gain clarity. So human design helped me understand that I was a manifester, which is I'm a trailblazer. I'm not here to do the detail. I'm to get plenty of rest. And when I'm resting, I need to just rest. And when I get those surges to do things, then I just do all the things. They could be a week, a month, or it could be 3 months from now.
Yeah.
But to be okay with the ebbs and flows of my life, that took 2 years to get okay with that. And here's the other thing, give yourself time. One of the things that I've sat with recently, and I think everyone needs to sit with this whole thing around money. Is it that you want money because you never had money? Or is it that you want money because money is going to provide you with something more that you need and want to do? my road to six figures taught me a lesson. And then multiple six figures taught me yet another lesson. The lesson I learned in the end is I really don't need as much money as I thought I did. And number two is that I don't really see that many people enjoying their life. They're all constantly in the pursuit of money, but they're never in pursuit of fulfillment. They're never in pursuit of pleasure. They're never in pursuit of joy. So I would, in my younger me, I wouldn't spend so much time on the money. I really would spend the time on connecting with the passion. Because when we can connect with our passion and really do what we're passionate about, the money really will come. Money consumes us in this world.
Yeah.
And I will say that, how would you feel if you couldn't speak tomorrow and you couldn't move your body tomorrow? Would you really be able to sit here and say that I lived a life that was just... Would you be able to say that, right? So we got to start looking at perspective and relationships and all these things, right? But what I would tell people to get started is to get really clear about how you want to feel inside your life. How do you want to feel? And I can tell you, after rebuilding myself from my husband's death, because at the end, when he passed away, I didn't know who I was. I was a wife. I was all these things, but who was I? And I could tell you now, how did I get there? Because I followed how I wanted to feel in my life. So what I did was, and this is real, I looked around my house at the time, and I looked at everything. And if it didn't make me feel good, I put it by the door. And I took it to Goodwill. So it could be a plant, it could be a flower, it could be a pillow, it could be a coaster. If it didn't feel right to me and it didn't flow for me and it didn't, like the colors didn't vibe for me and it didn't make me feel some kind of way, it went to the door. And I literally can tell you, as I look around my place now, there is not one thing in here that I don't absolutely love. Everything makes me feel amazing. I don't wear clothes that don't make me feel amazing. I literally started from my undergarments to my outer garments in how it made me feel. And that's how I got, when I didn't know what it looked like, when I didn't know, when my feelings were numb, I sat with things to see how it made me feel, because that's all I had. Right? I would go in the store and look at clothes and say, how does that make me feel? I would look at haircuts and say, like, I just looked at life from the lens of feeling, because I wanted to feel again. I was almost like dead on the inside. When your best friend of 28 years is gone, what do? All you have is your feelings. And we manifest based on our feelings. So sensuality and the root of it, our senses and our feelings, when we don't have connection to it, then we don't have connection to life. And I need connection to life. So that's why we can't negate people, because at the end of the day, we get our money from people and how we make them feel, right? So we can have AI all day long. We have all the things, but you can never replace the feelings of people. So we got to get back to that, because we've moved away from that. And we don't have compassion. Sensuality brings back compassion. It brings it back to the woman. Compassion, that's where it starts. Because women give birth to both boys and girls. And we teach our boys and our girls through how we feel, interact, and show up in life. So we have to be mindful how we show up. So we have to do our healing work. We got to get back to our feelings. We got to get back to being a human. compassion, nurturing, being a receiver, loving on our men. Because you know what? You can't give what you don't have.
Facts.
And you want to see a better world? Then you got to change you. Because everything is just a reflection of you. You want great people in your life? Be a great person. You want love in your life? Be love. You want compassion? Be compassionate. We are all just a reflection of who we are. It's never outside of us. It's always inside of us, reflecting out. We bring to us who we are. So you want to know who you are? Look around you and see who shows up for you.
Facts. Facts. Because a lot of people can, if you ask someone that question and they're like, I can't name one person, that should send a signal to you. And it's not that signal that's like, okay, I don't mind. It should be like, what's wrong with me? And it's like everybody else is like, oh, this person's the problem. This person's the problem. This is the problem. I'm not the problem. You know, it's like you put everybody else before yourself without looking at yourself before you put other people in. And when you don't love yourself, which is a great commandment, you know, from what we read in the Bible too, you know, Jesus said, you know, the love is the greatest commandment of them all. And, you know,
God is love.
God is love. So when you're not love and you're doing things contrary to love, but you still claim to love, then is that love genuine, or is it infatuation? Is it lust? Is it pride? Is it ego? What is it? And some people can't really
You know, it boils
decipher.
down to integrity. That's the one word that all the words you just described, is it integrity? And so many they lack integrity. And integrity is not just in what we say. Integrity is who and what we be. You know, integrity shows up all the time. It showed up in a store yesterday for me. A bag was on the floor with some lingerie in it from Victoria's Secret. I asked, you know, around, and the bag stayed there, but I was waiting to let the person that was going to serve me, and a couple that was in front, two ladies, they were going to pick that bag up and go home. They know that bag wasn't theirs. And the lady behind me said, sir, she jumped in front of me and said, sir, could you just grab that bag and put it behind, because somebody's going to come back for that. But that's an integrity moment. When nobody else is looking, when nobody else is there, that bag wasn't yours. You weren't going to turn it in. You were going to take it home. So, you know, those are the moments of integrity. You know, so are we people of integrity? The integrity is, are we looking at ourselves? Because everything ends and begins with us. We live in a society. We got red bottoms. We got education. We have cars, but we also have empty vessels. That's just where we are. Empty vessels. They got all the trappings of success. And, but at the end of the day, where's the love? You know, where's the love? Where's the love for mankind? Where's the love for, you know, yourself? There's a lot of trauma in the world. And trauma requires us to heal. And healing is not always, you know, a good thing, a fun thing, but it's a requirement. You know, happiness people can be happy. It's not normal, but we need to normalize being happy and fulfilled. But what is that for you?
Yeah.
You know, what is fulfillment for you? What is happiness for you? What's joy for you? That's the thing that we need to spend time doing. And so what happens is, when we don't do the work, it shows up in every fiber of our life. It shows up in your business. The women couldn't market, right? They couldn't market. Why? Because in order to market something, you have to have a belief about it. You have to have a belief about yourself. You have to believe you can deliver. You have to do all these things. So marketing and sales. And then when we go, you know, there's a book that was written many years ago by Dr. Sabira, Getting Black Folks to Sell. And I read it, and I often wish it was still in print, because it really talks about the psychology of how Black and brown people don't sell. And it's oftentimes because we don't believe in ourselves. But when we really sit down and think about it, where do we come from? Which led me to study Mayat in ancient Egypt and Kemet. Why? Because there's principles for us to live by that are our principles, ancient Egyptian principles. And when we really look at those principles, a lot of us were raised on those principles, but we strayed from those principles. And I think we really need to get back to those principles, because I think that's the solution for us. But in the meantime, in between time, I'm teaching women
I love
how to
that.
come home to themselves, one person at a time, one woman at a time, so that then ultimately, when her man, her husband, her partner comes home, the number one thing that a man wants, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but this is what my survey of lots and lots and lots and lots of men, they want peace.
Mm-hmm.
When they want a place to rest when they come home. It'd be nice to have something nice to eat too, but right,
of course.
But they want someone to be there to, especially a Black or brown man, because the minute he steps his foot out the house, he's a target. I don't care whether it's emotionally, physically, mentally, a target. When that Black or brown man comes home, he wants to come home to peace. He wants to come home to maybe someone with a hug, a smile, happiness, joy, so that he can unwind and unpack, whether it's mentally or physically, unpack his life and feel like it's a sanctuary. And so that's my mission, to help women come home to themselves, to their sensual feminine self, so that they can then attract a partner that they say that they want, so that they can build the things that they say that they want. It's not that hard, but it all starts with us understanding our role, being okay with it. For me, I'm okay with my role. Oh yeah, I don't have to be I can be in the background, because I have the power.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I know my power,
Exactly.
And I can partner and, elevate the union, because the man's going to give you something. If you support him, he's going to bring you back something to expand. Trust me.
Facts.
Trust me. He's going to give you something for you to expand. He bring you $20, we're going to turn it into a whole franchise, okay? And an empire. We're going to double multiply it time and time again. And then what is he ultimately going to do for you? He going to make sure you good.
Yeah.
Right?
Facts.
He going to make sure you good. And that's what women have to begin to understand. It's worth unpacking. It's worth healing the trauma, the drama, and everything else, because your family, the community, and the world gets to be a better place when we heal the woman. Because after all, we give birth to both boys and girls.
Exactly. That's what it all boils down to, the fundamentals. And we don't get to see that because, I've also been hearing this thing too about masculine and feminine energy. And you can see it where, some women, they've been raised up with brothers, all brothers. Some of them could be twins. Some of them could be, with girls, and they build around that, of course, with schools and how you just associate yourself with people. And then you realize that some women say, hey, I prefer having, male friends and female friends because I can't deal, like they just have their own reasons. And then on the other side of the coin, it's like they want to connect with these people, but there's always competition. So there's that, it's healthy, but sometimes it could be destructive depending on where you take it. So women that have that masculine energy and don't know they have it, and like what you just said is so true, because peace of mind is the number one thing a man wants in life.
And they realize it. I think too is because there's a lot of hurt, but we have to really do our own reflection to see, like locate yourself. Because when we locate ourselves, we can begin to figure out what we need to navigate and why don't we have what we want? Like, what do you really want? How do you want to feel? And why don't you have that? What's the adjustment that you need to make? That's why I rely on the tools help me. Human design, cardiology, and astrology have helped me to really kind of navigate that. What are the consistencies that show up? But we have to know that it starts with us. Are we angry all the time? You know, I have amazing female friends. I used to say that. I used to say exactly what you said, right? I haven't had no time with these women. But what I've learned is maybe not those women, but there are women that I have really great relationships with that love on me, that I'm so grateful for. And I love on them. You know, tonight I'm having dinner with a great friend. I'm always having dinner with somebody. I'm always eating some food. I'm a foodie.
I love it.
But, you know, always having like great friends, you know? And then people introduce me to great people.
Yeah.
You know, the people I know in the DMV, I didn't know anybody here. I was either met them on Clubhouse or my family or somebody say, hey, this person would be a good person for you to hang out with. And that's where it all began. But you know what it is too? Is that I'm comfortable in my own skin. So I show up as my authentic self. And I want you to show up as your authentic self. Not to be me. And I think that's really where the breakdown happens. Is that people feel inferior to someone else. No, just be you. You know, like I'm always dressed. You never really, you know, my friends say I'm overdressed all the time. No, I'm just dressed for me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to put on whatever you want to. If you want to come outside with a bonnet on and Crocs and pajamas, that's you.
Yeah.
Right? That's you. Come on, get in the car. I'm going to take you. We're going to go. That's how you want to be dressed.
Exactly.
But don't knock me because I show up a certain way. Right? That's where we have to come to. What I'm wearing or what I'm doing has nothing to do with you. You just show up as you. And we good. It's the problem when you start looking at what I'm doing and then it modifies your behavior. That's really detrimental to me. That'll make me go in the opposite direction because I love to be around whole healed people. Living and being their authentic self. Being whoever they are. I'm unconventional. I don't do nothing anybody else does. I don't even have a calendar. Somebody asked me to have a calendar. I don't have a calendar. Which time you want to talk?
Exactly.
I don't have no calendar. You can have one, but I don't have one. I don't conform in any fashion, shape, or form to the normal society that we know. You know, but how did I get here? Because of how I want to feel. I want to feel free in my life. I want to be able to run my businesses from the front face of my phone because I'm so sporadic. You know?
Yeah.
Somebody could call me now and say, hey, girl, what you doing? Okay, well, I'll be ready around 4. Okay, great. I'll see you at 5. That's how I live my life. And I think it brings a lot of joy. I think here's one thing I want to say. You know, we have these jobs and then we jump into entrepreneurship. I want people to stop before they leave their job and then come over to entrepreneurship. I want them to sit down and really figure out, like, what's the big pie in the sky life you want to live? And I want you to not recreate the job in your business. I want you to think about, like me. I am not a morning person. There's no one can talk to me to do anything before 1 o'clock. I just don't. I'm not interested. Am I awake? Yeah. But I don't want to talk to you. Right? Because I created my life the flow of my existence. But here's the other thing. We've got to get the money out the way. Why? Because if you read some of the, I guess more philosophical or personal development books, is that once we get our needs, like the Maslow theory, the hierarchy, once we get our basic needs out the way, the rest of our time is about becoming the best version of ourselves. And we need time to do that. We need time to read the books. We need time to journal. We need time to go to the beach and walk in the water. We need time for all of that. Anybody that has been highly successful creates time to be.
Mm-hmm.
But people that are chasing money, when I see people chasing money, you know what I tell them? They never had none. They didn't have any money. So that's why they're chasing it, because they're scared it's going to run out. But what I'd love to see is more Black and brown people enjoying life. Because our ancestors paid a dear price for our freedom. And we need to act like it. So on my ancestors' wildest dreams, my daddy didn't get to 60. I'm going to be 60 in a few days. And I want to live every bit of freedom that they may not have lived. So it's not difficult to build a business and then get our money compounded and get our money to work for us. That's not difficult. So the constant chasing of the monkey, the dollar, tells me that, well, dang, you just made six figures and multi-7. Where the money went? You didn't put none away to multiply for you? You don't have a financial advisor that you're talking to? Because my financial advisor told me I could be set in 7 years. So I understand. And I've never made 7 figures. But if I just take X amount every month and put it away to have compounded interest over time, so some of this stuff just don't make no sense to me. Make it make sense. It's all an illusion. Are we really making the money? Are we really wanting to create generational wealth? Because it ain't that hard, y'all. It's not. You make the money, but you got to come home to yourself and make it make sense. What kind of life do you really want to live? And I say should be a life with real freedom. Because when you really think about it, are you really free? Because freedom is when you can wake up when you're done sleeping. That's really freedom. And that's what entrepreneurship should be giving you. But instead, we're building businesses that require us to be on the monkey wheel all the time. Labor-intensive businesses. And we are so brilliant. Everybody has poached our brain of everything possible. And we don't leverage our knowledge, our wisdom and understanding to make us big dollars so that we can give it and put it somewhere, whether it's real estate, whether it's stock market, whether it's investing in other companies, because damn it, we don't need another new company. What we need is a merging of some companies, the merging of some talent. That's what we really need if you really want to know. Why you got me started up in here today?
I think it's birthday season.
That's what we really need.
Yes.
We need to own the full cycle of manufacturing, from ideation to end product. We need to own distribution. That's what we need to own. We need to come together and stop every little man opening up the business that never gets anywhere. That's what we need to do. We need to learn how to collaborate. That's what we need to do.
Yeah.
Right? But we got to heal the woman first so that she can help heal the man. Because he out here all by himself. The black man out here all by himself. All by himself. Like, by himself. And the women over there, they by themselves too. They just talk a lot. So we got so my role here in this world right now, the rest of my life, is try to heal these women. So they can be whole and heal. So that we can start collaborating. So we can go back to our original roots. I was raised in a village. My mother created a village around me that is still serving me to this day. And she's been dead 20 years. We all come from villages. And our separation is our detriment. We have to come back home to the village. The village is the reason why I'm still here. My village. the village my mother built. And I did not realize that my mother had built a village around me. But the village started 9 decades ago. The village came from Barbados. The village came from my grandparents, and then spread out to my mother and some of her best friends. And now we have a family, cousins without blood. And that village is still supporting me to this day. And it's multiracial, very all different kinds of people. My step-parents are Italian. My mother brought them into the village. We created our own village because my mother was supposed to die when I was young. So meticulously, she built a village and let me know that I would always be loved. In that village, I'll never not have somewhere to live, even if I didn't have anywhere to live. So we got to get back to our roots of the village, the elders, having respect for elders, and the wisdom and the knowledge. And I say, write it down so that it can become part of your estate. But we first got to have an estate, right?
Right.
And these are the principles that I teach about having trust and estates, taking care of our health, writing down our recipes, the wisdom, the knowledge. All my herbal recipes are in a book in my estate to be passed down with direction of who gets it. That's what we need to be spending our time, and not necessarily chasing paper currency. Because you know what the real currency is? Your natural gifts, your talents and abilities. That's your real currency. Because guess what? And when we build positive relationships with other humans, that's the real flex.
Yeah.
Because I could have no money, not a dollar. I'm going to eat and have somewhere to live by the quality of my relationships that my mother taught me how to keep, cultivate, and build. That's the real flex, relationships. The person with the most relationships, the most intimate, deep relationships, are the ones that win. It's not the money. Because you can have all the money in the world, but you sure can't get you no love. You can't buy love. Money can't buy love. Money can buy you somebody that comes stand by you. But it ain't gonna buy you somebody that jump in a fire for you. Or jump in the water for you. So that's, that's my message, is I build these relationships. I'll tell anybody, relationships are up there with oxygen for me. That's what my mother taught me. Because 20 years later, both my dad and my mom are gone. And I'm still loved on like I got parents sitting right here. And it's because it's the relationships that they built 9 decades ago are still serving me to this day. Relationships are your real currency. Relationships. But in order to be in relationship with somebody else, you got to be a whole healed person. So that's where you got to start. The reflection in the mirror is you.
That takes me back to Michael Jackson, man in the mirror.
That's it.
Oh, man, this is deep. Because now, as you're mentioning this, I don't know. I think this is I have like this podcast thing where if I have a playlist, I know the episodes that are going to be in. And this is one of them. Because it speaks volumes and it just turns heads. It just like... It's like...
Well, I'm a deep person. And I have no idea what I said. So I could not repeat it. So I hope you got it.
Yeah.
Because I know the way I walk with spirit, and then spirit just flows through me. It never stops in my brain. So I always tell people, you have to capture what I say, write it down, because I know not what I say, but I know it when it flows through me. But in all the years and all the things I've been through, I will say that the number one thing that has sustained me is my relationships. That's my real currency. That's my real flex. And those relationships open up so many doors, opportunities. Just talking with people. I think sometimes people have a difficult time just talking because they're in a rush. Just like you and I, how did we meet? We met and we had a conversation.
Yeah.
And that's how I got here, because I tell everybody no. I do. Because people come for me all the time. People always want me for something. But I want to see if you aren't willing to talk to me, the answer is no.
Yeah.
Because everything with me is about relationship and partnership and union. I'm a two of spade in cardology. I live from that lens. So, sometimes people are like, nah, I don't have time for a conversation. Okay. Then you don't have time for me, because I'm worth the conversation. And that's how we ended up here. And you didn't even know that.
Yeah.
You didn't know that was a principle of mine. That's how I gauge it. I gauge whether people want to interact as humans, or they're just, robots out here and you're the next widget. I'm not a widget. I'm too powerful to be a widget.
Oof.
Right? So I just let them go. And the people that align, and the people that, the thing that my mom taught me, and I'll say my dad, but it's really my mom, is that she taught me how she related to people. Everybody loves my mom. They talk about her like she was here yesterday. And why? She baked for them. She made the stuff for them. She loved on them. We always had somebody living in our house, coming to our house, staying at our house. Like, you had to get used to people. Mm-hmm. You couldn't grow up, be like, you don't like people.
Yeah.
You don't like living here then.
100%.
Because you're going to either be packed up and going to somebody's house. When we were little kids, they would take us or put us in our pajamas and take us to Aunt Mary's house. And all the kids, we were in one bedroom apartment. All the kids would be, when it's time to go to bed, everybody be lined up in the bed. Hey, you go this way, your feet go this way, you go this way, you go this way. All the kids ate together. If you didn't like people, you were going to suffer as a kid, okay?
Facts.
So I think and reflect that my mom taught me, I remember going and rescuing people that were friends of ours and were going through things. And my dad be like, yo, pack them kids up, let's go. Pack them, come on, let's go. Y'all come home with us. And they'd be like, yeah. And we made, it's like, well, where everybody, listen, got to pull out couch. This is before air mattress and all the fancy stuff, right? You make a pallet on the bed. Everybody going to get something to eat and somewhere to sleep. And we going to have a good time doing it. That's what I grew up knowing, right? And still to this day, it's the same way I live, And so I feel so blessed, because as I meet more and more people, and see, here's the other thing. The internet has dispersed us to meet all people from all different walks of life. When I grew up, I lived in a silo. Everybody kind of was new immigrants coming to this country, right? I am a first generation American, right? So as a result of it, I had to go to Catholic school. I was around a lot of first American immigrants, right? My parents were immigrant. We were first generation Americans. And as a result of it, we all were the same. We had all the same story. We had all the same values. When the internet came and you get on Clubhouse, you start meeting people from all walks of life. Mm-hmm. And you start hearing stories that you don't know nothing about. So I've had to learn and have empathy and compassion for people on a whole nother level, because they weren't necessarily a part of my village or my experience. And so that's when you really start to see the world, and you see it from a different lens, and you really start to see yourself. So it's been really, really a journey to now. But it all begins and ends with what? You. Any problem you have in life, put the mirror up. It's you. That's what my spiritual walk taught me. Because if it wasn't, you could not hold that energetic frequency with that person.
Yeah.
Right? And if that person is in your life, they're either there to elevate you or teach you something. Your job is to figure out what it is and get it as quickly as possible. That's our job. And that's what I'm here to help women do. Really get connected to those 6 senses. The 5 holes on your face, and the last one is your heart, your feelings.
That's a mic drop. I gotta just put it like that. That's a mic drop, and you're coming back again, God willing, because this just put the icing on the cake, and I love it. And I didn't expect this, and I feel like you've spoken to me. Yeah, because I feel like you've spoken to me, and I've listened, and I'm just looking at a picture in my mind, and it's playing a. I always say negative films always make great pictures, and all the things that you go through, you don't know the reason why, and the reason why it blossoms is because you went through that phase, and if you didn't go through that phase, you wouldn't be where you are as a butterfly. So it's deep, and I appreciate you for bringing that to light today.
Yes.
Yeah, I would love for people to connect with you. What options do they have available? Let's say they want to work with you, they want to speak with you, they want to just have a chat, have dinner. How can they connect with you?
That's right, because we will be having dinners around the world. That's our new thing. So small,
that.
Intimate connections. But you can go to eclecticsacredliving.com, and that's where you can find everything. That's my hub online. You can find out what I'm up to, courses. I have, you can book a consult, all the things. You'll find me everywhere, Therese Prentice, on every platform. I just go by my name, Therese Prentice or Therese Eve. On all platforms, I'm very consistent, because all you're going to get is me anyway. I'm not, I'm the brand. So wherever you go, whatever the name is, you're going to get me, right? I just like to be consistent that way.
I love that.
And I'm so grateful that I met you. I'm so grateful to connect here. This was very meaningful conversation. I know that there will be other things that we do now that we've gotten actually to see each other in the physical realm.
Yes.
Not just conversation by phone, but I do believe and I feel the energy that we'll be able to do some things together in the future. Look forward to seeing you when you come to, or I come to you, or you come here, whichever happens first. So I'm excited about that as well.
Me too.
Thank you so much for seeing me and seeing my life.
You're welcome. Anytime. It's my pleasure to have you here, and I don't take relationships like this for granted, and I cherish them dearly. So I really appreciate even the time spending with you here, and we'll be back again, God willing, and definitely stay in touch, because there's more to come, and this right here, guys, is just the beginning. So take care, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.